Ohayo. Welcome to the So Japanese podcast, a podcast where we talk about all things Japan from a Japanese and foreign perspective. We are your hosts. My name is John.
My name is Ryusuke.
Thank you for joining us again today.
ありがとうございます。
Today's episode is So Japanese.
So Japanese.
So we're going to talk about kind of in detail. We'll try as much as possible, but we're going to talk about Japanese tea ceremonies.
Tea ceremony.
I feel like one of the most popular tea ceremonies in the world,
I guess so.
right?
Yeah.
It's super ritualistic. Like when you watch a tea ceremony, it looks like a performance.
It's not just about tea, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, right? Like,
It's about...
because the tea itself looks and tastes super bitter.
It is bitter. Yeah.
Right? But it's like the whole experience,
Yeah.
right? It's the
Yeah.
whole everything. So we'll talk about it, and I hope it interests you guys enough where you'll try to watch some YouTube videos on it, and if you go to Japan, to try to experience it
Yep.
yourself,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, so what is a Japanese tea ceremony? So what is it called in Japanese?
They call chanoyu or chado or mostly sado.
So most common sado.
In Japanese we always say like sado. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's about the aesthetics, like Ryusuke said, as much as the tea itself. So it's the whole thing. Traditionally, it takes place in a Japanese tea house,
Yep.
In a Japanese tea room, or in a Japanese garden. I feel like the Japanese garden and the tea room is always
Like together.
right.
Yeah.
So the host, there's always a host and there's guests, right? So the host strives to create a beautiful and serene atmosphere, indoors and out. So outside the garden, traditional Japanese garden, very beautiful, peaceful. And indoors, flower arrangements, simple Japanese artwork, hanging scrolls of calligraphy, and even the specific arrangements of the tea utensils is important. It plays all in the experience, right?
Yes. Yeah. Everything has meaning.
Right? Everything has meaning. That's so Japanese.
Yeah.
And it has to like look very nice, right? So tea ceremonies generally, like the traditional ones, it's like 4 hours long,
Yeah.
right? A lot of like the tourist ones is just like the sweets and the tea.
Yeah.
But the real one, multi-course meal.
You have a meal called Kaiseki ryori.
You have time to enjoy the interior. You have time to enjoy the garden. So you get the meal, sweets and matcha tea
Yep.
go together,
Yep.
right? And normally the matcha is the powdered green tea form.
Yes. Yeah.
And the hosts and guests will also have to follow a strict etiquette rule.
Yep.
Yeah. And we'll talk about etiquette at the end. So most tea ceremonies start at noon. And I feel like it's more like meditation now.
It is, yes.
Right? In making and enjoying the tea, it's like moving meditation.
Yeah.
Very zen.
Very, very zen.
Right?
Yeah.
And nowadays, like, it might not be that popular, but it's definitely used to kind of like escape and disconnect from the hustle and bustle of
That
busy
everyday
Japanese
life.
work environment. Yeah, everyday life, right?
Yeah.
So we'll quickly touch on history, the supplies needed to host a tea ceremony, the steps of what to expect during the whole tea ceremony, and specific steps for the tea making process. And then we'll get to etiquette and street level Japanese.
Right.
So the history of tea, started in China about 4,000, 5,000 years ago, and was only introduced to Japan during the Tang Dynasty, 600 to 900 AD, when Buddhist monks brought tea seeds back from China to Japan. But it wasn't until the Kamakura period, about 1100, 1300 AD, where monks began grinding their tea and preparing it with a bamboo whisk that was also introduced from China. And these Zen Buddhist monks used it for like medicinal reasons, to stay awake during their long meditation sessions. And during the Kamakura period, also they started cultivating tea for religious practices. So with anything historic in Japan, kind of was from Buddhism.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even to this day, Uji, a district of Kyoto, is where tea was popularized, and it's still popular to this day.
For sure, you guys see like matcha, like somebody sells matcha and it says Uji matcha.
Okay, so that's the legit stuff,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And it started becoming popular in the 13th century, where samurai started doing tea ceremonies.
Yes.
And the noble class as well. They would hold tea tasting competitions. So they would, it's like taste testing. They would taste the tea and try to guess
Who made it tea?
or the variety of
Right.
tea.
Yeah.
Like a sommelier, tea
Yeah.
sommelier. So the samurai made tea ceremonies popular because they wouldn't know day to day if they would like live or die, right?
Exactly.
So they used the tea ceremony, the meditation of it, the slow ritualistic time to calm the mind.
Yeah.
Right.
To relax, relieve the stress from the, again, like everyday life because of samurai.
Exactly.
Basically, they're always fighting, right? Yeah.
So even like traditionally the tea rooms, the entrance would be like a super small,
like square window.
yeah, right, where you have to like crawl in. So it was made like that because it prevented the samurais to bring their swords in, to make sure that the tea room was like a peaceful area, not to think about battle or fighting, right? Okay, so let's talk about our supplies needed. So really, the supply list was crazy long.
Crazy, small details,
But-
more information.
Right? Even we're gonna give you a lot of supplies now, but we cut some out.
Yeah. Yep.
So first we have the hemp cloth,
Chakking.
which is like a small white rectangular cloth, and it's used to wipe the tea bowl.
The tea bowl, chawang. Yeah.
And how you fold the cloth is also important.
Yes.
We won't get into it, but it's like a square, but
Yeah.
only certain number of folds.
Yeah. You can just like grab it and then like squish and then, you know, it has to be nice and fold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you should use that cloth to wipe the tea bowl before passing the tea bowl to the next person. The next tool is the T-Whisk.
Chaseng.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's carved from a single piece of bamboo, and it has like these prongs that stick out, and it's to froth up the tea. We will get into it later, but most tea tastings, most tea ceremonies have two types of tea, a thick tea and a thin tea. And according to which tea you're making, the T-Whisk, the chasen, is also different, of course. So Japanese, right? Like everything has to be specific.
Yep.
Next, we have the tea scoop.
Chashaku.
And that's just used to scoop the powdered tea into the
To the bowl. Yeah. Before you whisk.
Again, it's a tea bowl, not a tea cup. And it can be made from a single piece of bamboo or ivory. And then this brings us to the tea bowl.
That's chawang.
And it's like a wide base bowl it's pretty big, like
Yeah.
to carry tea in, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
And normally it's like beautifully designed, really intricate. A lot of these bowls that are used in these tea ceremonies are like antique heirloom,
To look at the bowl, it's already beautiful.
right?
Yeah, most of them. I mean, like all of them.
And it's also like the host also wants you to admire the bowl itself too, right?
Yeah. And I think the size-wise, why they big, because like they have to whisk in the bowl, right?
That's
like,
right.
If you have small teacup, and then like how you gonna whisk it, right?
Right. You don't get the motion, yes. Okay. And next we have a silk cloth.
Fukusa.
So that is used to, they call it purify the tools. It's very ritualistic. Again, how you fold the fukusa is important. How you wipe down the surfaces and of all the tools is very important to purify it. Again, it's really ritualistic. So apparently men use purple ones, and women can have either orange or red ones. Even how it's tucked into your kimono is very important. So for the host, the fukusa is tucked into the obi, like the belt
and then,
type thing.
Yeah.
Folded over.
Yeah.
Again, we won't get into specifics, but it's like a triangle fold and then a couple more folds after that. And then the guests, they tuck it in to the chest area.
The chest in between kimono.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the fukusa. And it's to, again, purify, clean, wipe everything down. And then we have the portable brazier. So it's where you put the charcoal in to heat up the charcoal and, I guess,
and then
warm
keep
the
it
water in
then.
the kettle.
Yeah. It's called furo.
Furo.
Yeah.
And the furo is only used in the spring and summertime. And it's because it's hot, right? So the furo is normally put away from the guests, like into the corner of the room to prevent the room to heat up too quick. And yeah, that's where the
furo.
charcoal is lit up. Now, before it was like made out of bronze, now clay and iron, but yeah. In the winter, we have a sunken hearth.
It's called ro, just the one word.
Ro.
Yeah.
And that is sunken into the floor and either in the middle of the room or closer to the guests. And that's used for the winter, fall and winter, to help
to heat it up in the room. So like they welcome the guests with the warm room.
Right.
Yeah.
So next we have the kettle to, and that's called the kama, used to boil the water. And we also have a ladle.
It's called hishaku.
To scoop the water after it's boiled. And we have yet another napkin, a paper napkin this time.
It's called kaishi.
Kaishi.
Yeah.
And this one is used to, and again, it's tucked into the kimono chest area, but like above the fukusa.
Yeah.
And that's to either wipe your fingers from touching the sweets or
So
wiping your fingers.
basically really napkin.
Yeah.
To use.
That's the proper napkin. Yeah. You're not supposed to use the fukusa to wipe your mouth.
Or your finger.
Yeah. And then we have the wastewater container. Kensui. So we'll talk about it later, but cleaning the chawan, all the tools, you pour water in it first, pour the water out, wipe it down. So you need like a container to keep that. There's also the tea caddies. So natsume. And natsume is for the thin tea. So the thick tea and the thin tea, I guess it's different powder.
I guess so.
Right?
Yeah.
And these tea caddies are also very beautifully decorated. lacquerware. And for the thick tea, it's called
Koicha.
thick tea is called koicha, but the caddy for the thick tea is the chaire.
Yeah, chaire. Sorry.
Chaire.
Yeah, chaire. Yeah.
So again, it sounds super involved.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to study.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You have
Yeah.
to study how to
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
So let's go through what happens in a tea ceremony, the whole tea ceremony. So invitations are given. Normally, again, starts at noon. You get invited. And I think the traditional tea ceremonies, maximum 5 people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Including host.
Including the host.
Yeah.
Okay. So 4 guests.
Yeah. I think.
So they enter a waiting area first. And in this waiting area, they get served hot water to quench your thirst. And then after that, you finish the hot water. You get to walk through the garden, enjoy the beautiful garden.
To calm your feeling, your...
It's used as like a corridor to further escape from
the
everyday
real.
life.
Yeah.
Right? Reality, exactly.
Yeah.
And then after the garden walk, you go to an outdoor waiting area. And in this waiting area, you wash your hands and mouth because you need to be cleansed, purified before entering the tea room. And I think how to clean your hands, wash your hands and mouth is like the same way you do at
the temple or shrine.
Right?
Yeah.
So wash your hands and then you get invited into the tea room. And apparently because the tea ceremony is you're not supposed to talk so much.
No.
Right? It's supposed to be a calm, zen thing. So the host is not going to be like, okay, we're ready for you.
No. Yeah.
They will just
Ring the
a gong,
bell.
a gong or
Gong.
a bell.
Yeah.
Right?
So basically, host doesn't talk at all.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't talk
That
almost
much.
nothing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And then you go inside and then there's a time where you're supposed to admire the art, the calligraphy scrolls, the pottery, the flower, the room itself, even the tatami mat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And apparently, how you touch the tatami mat is important too. So I think to prevent wear and tear of the tatami mat, I don't think you're supposed to step right in the middle of it too. And when you touch the mat with your hands, you're not supposed to use
your hand, like open hand.
palm hand.
Yeah.
You're supposed
Your
to
bare hand.
like
Like
closed fist.
Yeah, closed fist. Yeah.
I guess the oils your dirty hand can.
Yeah.
And then after that, you enjoy the room. You are served a kaiseki meal.
If this is the 4 hours long.
Yes, this is the 4 hours one.
Yeah.
And explain to our listeners again what a kaiseki meal is.
So kaiseki meal is the one they invented for the tea ceremony. So you get like all the seasonal food, like small plate. So you enjoy the food, obviously by the looking, and then from the taste, from the flavor, from the season of the vegetables.
So you said seasons many times, so it's very, very important, the seasons, right? Multi-course.
Yeah, multi-course. And that's the base of the Japanese tasting menu right now.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot
So
of restaurants do a kaiseki.
It started by tea ceremonies.
Tea ceremony, yes.
Not onsens.
No.
Okay. After the kaiseki meal, you are served a sweet. Generally, mochi,
Or
bean paste.
Yeah, bean paste. Like it's called wagashi.
Okay.
So like sweet bean paste coated with mochi, or maybe like some other starch product. Yeah.
But always beautifully
Shape.
shaped
Yeah.
into like flowers or
Into like a cherry blossom flower or maybe other flowers.
seasonal.
Yeah.
Seasonal.
And
yeah,
then obviously the colors like light pink or like light green or like really enjoying with the look.
Yeah.
If you see that, you don't even want to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I've tasted like these type of sweets before. I think it looks way better than it tastes.
I know what you mean.
Right? Like it tastes kind of like one note.
Sweet.
Just sweet.
Yeah.
And the texture, it's not the greatest, but it's really beautiful. This is where, when we learned about tea ceremony for this episode, we're like, what? They don't like take sips of the tea while eating the sweets, right? We thought it matches perfectly. But the traditional tea ceremonies, you eat the sweet first.
And
then you go back outside. You go back outside, enjoy the garden some more, and then the host will prepare the room now from meal setting to tea making setting. And then when you're outside, you wash your hands and your mouth again.
Yep.
And then another gong will invite you back in.
Yep.
This time, though, because the tea room is now set up for tea, the scrolls will change. The wall art will change. There might be a different flower arrangement. The tea utensils will be brought in. So that is also time for you to admire the differences now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No wonder it takes 4 hours.
But also hosting you guys to every single steps or like changing the atmosphere, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it's the whole experience, right? And then before the tea ceremony starts, like before people start drinking tea, I think the host will address the main guest. I think the eldest guest.
Yeah.
And they are supposed to sit in a certain position as well. Maybe they can, I think, introduce themselves, or if they can have any questions about the tea utensils, the pottery, the art, that is the time to ask. Because once they start making the tea, it's no talking again.
No.
So again, we will go through steps of the actual tea making process. But the next step here is they make the first tea, which is called koicha.
Yeah.
And that's the thick tea, almost like
espresso.
That thick.
Yeah, if it's coffee. Yeah.
I've never had it before, but it sounds super bitter.
For sure, it's super bitter.
And then after that, because it's so bitter, you are given a sub dessert. And that looks more just like a sugar cube, pretty much. Again, beautiful design, shaped, pressed into like a cherry blossom or like a maple leaf.
Yep.
And then the second tea is served, which is called
usucha.
And that's the thin tea.
Yeah.
That tea is probably what most people are familiar with when they drink powdered matcha tea. Yeah.
More drinkable. Yeah.
After the tea is all drank, then and the utensils are cleaned, the host may pass the pottery around for every guest to admire and further ask questions. And then that's it.
That's all.
Right?
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the specific tea making process. So again, invitations, receiving the guests, normally at noon, kaiseki meal, sweets, go outside, they change the room, come back in, and then let's talk about the start of the tea making process. So once the guests are settled, the host will proceed to ritually cleanse or purify each tool, the tea bowl, the whisk, the scoop with a fukusa. So they will pour the hot water into the chawan, whisk the water around to clean the whisk,
Yep.
and wipe down.
Wipe down. Yeah, and then put the dirty water in the kansui.
And then they will prepare the thick matcha tea, which again is called the
Koicha.
koicha.
Yeah.
The koicha is blended into a ratio of 3:1, 3 powder to 1 water, so it's really thick. And this we didn't know. So they make 1 bowl of the thick tea, and then each guest will take only a sip from that. So it's passed around.
Passed around for 1 bowl of tea.
Which makes sense because you can't finish a whole thick tea. It's like too bitter, right?
Yeah.
So first, obviously, the guest of honor, maybe the oldest guest, will take the first sip. And then the guest will either use their fingers to rub where they put the lips on, or use the napkin.
The napkin, the kaishi. Yeah.
To clean the bowl where you put your lips on.
The edge, yeah.
And then you pass it to the next guest, and then same thing. So until everyone has an opportunity to drink from the same tea bowl, they will now prepare the thin matcha tea. So weird. I thought everyone gets their own.
Maybe not now because of COVID.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
But so I think it's used more like for a tasting of it.
Exactly.
Right? Taste the real essence of matcha.
Yeah.
So the bowl is returned to the guest, and also how the bowl is passed around. There's etiquette. We'll get to that at the etiquette section, but that's also very involved too, I think.
Yeah.
So the host will clean the bowl and prepare the thin matcha. The thin matcha is blended to more of a 1:1 ratio. And but this time, every guest gets their own bowl of matcha.
Tea. Yeah.
You don't have to pass it around. After that, everyone's finished, enjoys the tea. They will return the bowls back to the guest, to the host. And then they have time to admire these priceless antiques.
Yep.
And then bowing, go home.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like a yoga.
Namaste.
Exactly.
All right. Also, when obviously, I think most of our listeners know, before you eat food, itadakimasu, do you say the same thing?
For the tea, after the host make tea for you, then the guest has to say お手前頂戴いたします.
Okay.
That means basically いただきます. But お手前頂戴いたします means like I will taste the tea how you make.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the host reply with anything? It's like hi.
I don't. I'm not
Onegaishimasu maybe or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to the etiquette. I guess this is like the number one rule for all of Japan. Anything in Japan is be on time. Starts at noon, be there a little bit before noon, but not too far advanced.
Nope.
Right? What would you say is a good time, like in general Japanese culture, if I say, hey, let's meet at the restaurant at noon, outside the restaurant at noon, what time should I be there?
I would say like 11:45.
15 minutes is
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Normally.
And then
as a Japanese.
Right? And then we have the dress code. So almost like when you eat kaiseki or the omakase sushi, no perfumes.
No.
You don't want to distract your senses from the tea.
Yeah.
Right? No crazy fashion, modest clothing. Ideally kimono or like a Western formal attire is also okay.
I think the male, you can wear suit, And female, it's better wearing skirt than pants.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also don't wear any like jewelry because it can damage the pottery. So or scratch up. So take off your rings, bracelets and stuff.
Yep.
And obviously before you get into the tea room, take off your shoes, wear the slippers that are provided to you, right? Another important thing for etiquette is let the host seat you. The host will tell you where
you sit,
kneel or sit, right?
Yep.
Enter on your knees. Again, avoid stepping on the center of the mats. Closed fists for hygiene and to keep the tatami clean. So let's now talk about when the host makes the tea and passes it to you, and when you pass it to the next guest or back to the host. So how should you hold a teacup?
You hold
left hand
on the bottom,
okay,
and then right hand on the side
to support.
Yeah.
And then is that the same for sake? No, sake just drink.
Yeah, sake
Okay.
you can just drink.
Okay.
If there's no ceremony, I don't really know about the ceremony. I know Yakuza do a sake with the ceremony.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a way how to drink. Yeah.
Okay, let's research that one and maybe do episode for that. Is that the only time they do sake ceremony?
Well, is that the only when they welcome to the new member
Okay.
to this Yakuza group?
They do a sake ceremony.
Or
I think I've seen that in like movies.
Yeah, or when they make the new boss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like nothing for like weddings and
Weddings.
births or
The New Year's Day is actually
Year's.
yeah.
Okay.
But we can talk that later.
Yeah, we'll have a sake ceremony episode. Because actually this episode we learned so much.
So much.
Right?
So much.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
as Rusuke said, left hand under supporting the bowl, right hand on the side of the bowl to support that. And you take a sip.
Yeah.
But before the host, so when the host makes the tea, the beautiful side, so there's always a beautiful side of the pottery that will be facing them. Before they pass it to the guest to drink, they will use their right hand and make 2 turns of the bowl clockwise.
Yeah.
And then pass it.
Yeah.
When the guest receives it, they will do the same thing because they want to put now the beautiful side to face back to the host. And that is supposed to have some meaning, right?
Yes, because you should be humble
when you receive it. Okay.
When you receive it. So
Okay.
like in this room, you always feel humble. I mean, you have to be humble.
Be humble, show gratitude.
Exactly. Yeah. Appreciate for everything. Yeah.
So
it's not just you. It's
Okay.
about this entire room.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess like they gave it to you with the beautiful side facing you. So when you drink, you should then show the beautiful side back to them.
Yes.
And also they want you to like focus on just the tea when you are drinking it, right? Even when you're passing it to the next person for like the thick tea, before you pass it, you should make the 2 turns clockwise with your right hand.
Yeah.
I think, but that's also more for like, you shouldn't put your lips where I put my lips, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or that's a kansetsu kisu.
関節キスだから
So these guests are all flirting with each other.
They wish.
Right?
They wish.
And then another important etiquette. I feel like this is really important in all cultures, especially if you're going to someone's house or someone's hosting you, is to eat whatever they give you. Eat it all.
Eat it all. Well, but like the sweets, if you can finish, you can actually keep in a kaishi.
And the
Then
napkin, paper napkin.
And then napkin. Then you can take it home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the meal itself,
You should eat all.
Right.
I mean, like they don't give you like like big
Portions.
amount of food. Yeah.
Right.
So.
But even if you don't, you're not gonna like the taste of it. Just fucking eat it, swallow it, smile.
Yeah.
Right. You can do that.
Yeah. I mean, because like the tea themselves, it's bitter.
Yeah.
But you have to drink.
Right. So all the videos we saw from like real tea ceremonies, when we were watching the guests drink the tea, me and Risuke looked at each other like, I know it's fucking bitter.
Yeah.
But they showed no emotion.
No.
They didn't like make a face, an ugly face, or right?
Yeah.
You don't like scallops or you don't like oysters. You know you don't. Just swallow it. Try not to make like a face, right?
Or
it's
maybe like if you try, then you might like it.
Right.
Like how they cook is obviously they care about the product too.
Right. Seasonal.
Exactly.
Right? They're not gonna give you fresh. Yeah. It has to taste good.
Yeah.
It's also very common and important to compliment the host about the decor, about the tea flavor. Very important, right? The last one is to limit talking. I think the general rule is only talk when the host talks to you.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nowadays, the tea ceremony is mostly just practiced as a hobby or a form of meditation, right? Like it's the everyday Japanese person doesn't really...
No.
Right?
No.
It's nowadays more like a touristy thing, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
So you can, as a tourist, you can experience it like in various degrees of formality, like the whole 4-hour Kaiseki one or the shortened one. Also, how authentic it is, right? How legit the tea room is, how many utensils. I think the more utensils you use, the more authentic it is, right?
Yep.
And these are offered through many organizations across Japan. Like you can sign up at traditional gardens, culture centers, hotels. I know a lot of the 5-star hotels offer this. But the best places to experience Japan's tea culture are again Kyoto and
Kyoto, Uji.
Uji's in
Kyoto.
Kyoto, right?
Yeah.
Have you experienced tea ceremony?
Actually not. And but this time I went to Kyoto. I saw the room.
Okay.
So I saw the small entrance of the room with the beautiful garden.
Yeah.
But
where were you? Like at a shrine or?
Yes, I was in the temple. It's called Kenninji.
And they probably
they
offer tea ceremony.
They used to offer the tea ceremony, not anymore. But maybe like when they have like special event, they might still do.
Yeah.
But what I know was they didn't do anything. But they have all the tools and stuff too.
Traditional Japanese weddings, are they in shrines or temples? Or both?
Shrine.
Right?
Shrine. Mostly shrine. Yes. Yeah. And yeah, like I never tried that, but what I heard, it's the tea ceremony is only once in your lifetime. So
that's what they think.
Yeah. So there's a word called ichigo ichie, which means like the once in your lifetime you meet these people. Okay. I've heard of ichigo ichie, and that's like a saying. Is it almost like YOLO? Yes. Yeah. Just it's going to be once in your lifetime. Do it, experience it, enjoy it, right? So they think what? Like the people I meet at this tea ceremony, like we might not gonna see anymore. So ever again. That's why they put all the effort into the ceremony to enjoy, to share the moment with others. So because tea ceremonies aren't that common, it's not like back then with the samurais, they probably do it so often. But nowadays, really, it might just be once in a lifetime. Maybe next time you go back, you'll want to do it. Maybe next time I go as a tourist, okay, yeah, I want to try it. But yeah, you're right. I probably will only do it once in my lifetime. But I mean, like when they invented the ceremony, it's already this mind is there.
That's true.
I think
because you might die.
You might die, exactly, right? You never know what's gonna happen too. So that's why I think you have to calm. You have to
be in the moment,
be
fully
in the
enjoy
moment,
it,
relief, and like just like feel it.
I think
moment.
People should treat their whole lives or every experience like a Japanese tea ceremony, right? I'm gonna go dinner with my friend. I might not see them ever again too, right?
Exactly.
I might get hit by a bus.
Yeah, exactly.
So, ichigo ichie, treat it like a tea ceremony. Enjoy every moment. The decor, the service, the food. I probably won't. I'll probably only do it one time too, just because it's so bitter.
Right. And it might hurt your legs too.
So when we were doing research on this topic, Ryusuke's girlfriend mentioned that in high school,
yes, she had a class for tea ceremony class. She went to only female high school, and it's like big private high school, and then at some point there was an emperor visiting that school. So they're really traditional old school.
So you didn't have tea ceremony class at your school?
Mine?
Yeah.
No. Mine. Who's gonna fucking do it? They don't.
Yeah, and we asked, like, did the teachers teach it, but they brought professional from outside?
Like, the teacher from the outside, and like the teacher teaching all the student how to do it, but obviously it's more, how to say, like easy way, not like super strict, obviously not 4 hours class.
Yes.
There's just
but the tea making process, the ritual
tea making process,
yes.
And also I think the etiquette process. To
very
me
important.
it's more etiquette is important for the student.
Yes. So
that I guess that's why they have the class, because like the young people, they should know the etiquette of like old style Japanese things.
Right.
Yeah.
So because she understands like the ritual, the slow, the meditation process of making the tea, she mentioned that like when she sees coffee shops over here offer matcha and they are just like whisking to order really quick, whatever, and she doesn't really understand it because that making tea process is supposed to be
like calm and like only for the tea, right? But they whisk the tea, then they make it latte
in between like orders of coffee and stuff like that, so it's go, but that's kind of that's like the opposite.
Yes,
right? That's not the point of
opposite.
the tea making process, the Japanese tea ceremony, right? So I think they even think like how slow or how focused, how calm you are in making the tea affects the taste.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So Japanese tea making process. I'm very interested in now. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Me too. Yeah.
I want to experience it.
Yeah.
Did you feel kind of like not shame, but like, hey, I'm Japanese, but I didn't know any of this? Were you surprised?
I mean, like, I yes, it supplies like so many process, so many stuff, so many tools,
but also like
meaning,
but also understandable because it's Japan.
Yes,
it makes sense, right?
But also that's why it's called sado. It's like a
art form.
Yes, choreography, like shodo and kado. It's the flower arrangement. It's all about like you learn from this movement to your life,
to apply to your life. So it's not just about learning to make tea. It's learning to apply like calmness.
Yeah, like how you should be in your life. Yeah.
So Japanese.
So Japanese.
All right, this brings us to our street level Japanese segment for today.
はい。
I guess kind of a fitting word. Today we're gonna, again, for our new listeners, we have a lot of new listeners. Let's tell them what this segment is about. So, street level Japanese is a segment where we use to kind of introduce words to you in a more slang, colloquial way. Not formal, because a lot of Japanese textbooks, how you learn Japanese, is too formal. Like no one really actually speaks like that.
No.
So we use this segment to introduce, maybe not all the time, like rude way, but how a common, normal person on the street would speak Japanese.
Yep.
As a foreigner, I didn't formally learn Japanese. I learned it through working and through friends, especially like working at a bar. So my Japanese is like super informal, but I found it really helpful because people thought my Japanese was like at a higher level than it actually is.
Because you can speak this way.
Yes, exactly, right? So we wanted to share this way and you can sound more fluent, really, right? So today's word is thirsty.
Thirsty.
Street level Japanese version of thirsty is
喉がカラカラ。
nodo ga kara kara. So nodo is
throat.
Yep. And kara kara is
dry.
Yeah. And again, Japan has more than 4,000 onomatopoeias. Kara kara is one.
Yes.
It's the sound dryness.
Yeah. So if you just say kara kara, doesn't mean you're thirsty. You have to say all this sentence. Nodo ga kara kara.
Okay.
Yes.
Nodo ga kara kara. Formally, how do you say it?
Nodo ga kawaita.
Nodo ga kawaita. An example.
今日は暑くて喉がカラカラ。
So today is hot.
And I'm so thirsty.
I'm so thirsty.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good episode.
Yeah.
I was kind of worried of if this was going to be super long.
No.
But again, thanks for listening to today's episode.
ありがとうございます。
We're kind of bringing a new thing to our process. So the days we meet up to record, sometimes we're going to go live on TikTok and Instagram.
Yep.
Just to kind of meet with our followers. Last time we went on live, we had a really good experience with one listener.
Yep.
To give us suggestions. So we use it for a time. If you have any Japanese questions about the language, about the culture, you can ask Ryusuke. Or if you want to give us suggestions on how we should do the podcast or what topics we should talk about next. On these lives, super casual, random times, really.
For now.
Yeah. Once more and more people join, we'll have a set time.
Yep.
And during these lives, answer questions, and we'll have some Japanese snacks. Maybe we can do a ASMR. No.
Sure.
But we'll just
you guys like it.
Eat some Japanese snacks and meet with some of our listeners.
Yep.
Again, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you find our podcasts. Give us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, all our social media.
Yep.
YouTube.
Yep.
And
that's it. And then somebody already did, give us review or like comment or whatever. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Please continue to do so. Again, you don't have to like in our DMs or email, whatever way you want to contact us. It doesn't have to be like an involved message. You just, hey, I want to, like, if you just thought about it while walking down the street, give us a message. Hey, you guys should talk about this. Totally fine.
Yep.
And appreciate it.
はい。
ありがとうございます。
またね。
バイバイ。
バイバイ。